again for another week of information. This is going to be still another science and technology update. I wanted to give you an update on the Keshe technologies stuff in general. Like I try to do this for the first post I do every month. Sorry, since I try to get information from the QEG Sweden group that are doing regular testing, including checking their electric bill to see if there's a reduction in power. Now, last month I didn't get any information, any answer from them. This month they did post something, so I'm happy to report that they are still doing some checking. They are veering. They're still kind of They've added some more lows. They're changing meters. They're making it difficult to get a good sense of regularity as far as measurements. I mentioned this before. When you do a scientific experiment, you want to keep it the same equipment and the same setup and kind of keep it going. So that when you see changes, it's not because that you've modified something, it's because actually something has happened to the system. And in this case, it's supposed to be a systemic change over time. So if you keep adding stuff to the system and kind of fiddling around with it, or even changing your measurements, your equipment like they did for measuring, then you're not sure if what you change is what gives you the new results versus the actual system conditioning, nanocoating, and all that stuff. So, I mean, I applaud them for what they do, but it would be way clearer to see if there's actually something going on if they wouldn't constantly be doing tests on the same unit. Like, leave that unit alone, just let it run, and do all this finagling with another system separately. That would be the way to do it properly. But in any case, kudos to them because they are persistent. So as far as like the last time they posted numbers, and here are some of the numbers from the electric bill savings and stuff. I just made an update. Last time we checked was in February, I believe, and they had an apparent savings of 37%. March. February was 20. March was 37. April, no results. They didn't post anything. They didn't seem to have been doing a whole lot except just running certain things and changing equipment and whatnot. And in the month of May, at the end of May, they posted the new results, which they measured using theoretical numbers, not their electric bill, which I find unfortunate because I want to see the electric bill. That's the actual savings. It's not measuring from wires and kind of doing funky things like that, even using a new tool. But nonetheless, I noted it down on the table. You know, they from their calculations they do from their measuring device, their new measuring device on the system, the theoretical savings. I do indeed say theoretical because it's not from the meter or from the electric company. Is about 42%. Now, they did note down that next month, at the end of June, they will pull out the electric bill and check that out. I mean, I would like to see that for all those months because they did pull electricity wire and they're showing the electric bill. I mean, that's annoying, isn't it? So we'll have that hopefully next month. So I'll do another update on their group to see if it still keeps to the trend, because that's the really interesting part, not changing meters and understanding that your previous meter is wrong. And that's at least that's part of the issue. Is they've calculated their savings based on theoreticals from a piece of equipment that in this month they mentioned was wrong. Didn't do good measurements. So if you check the electric bill, you say, okay, well here's my consumption, and then you compare it. They compared it with their theoretical using their apparently faulty equipment, and they've measured that they were supposed to consume a lot more. So there's a savings between the two, right? And they just say, well, our equipment is wrong, so this data is no good. So the data that was measured at 20% and now at 37%. Now for February and March. those numbers are no bueno anymore. They're not good anymore because they just said that the equipment was not measuring properly the theoretical number, the comparative, to which they say, well, we're having um, with which they say, well, we got a savings. So it's like unless I misunderstand things, I kept these numbers because sometimes I'm missing pieces, so I just want to keep these 20 and 37%. I want to see now they have an equipment that seems to be working better. They're going to get the electric bill for the month of June. We're going to see if the trend continues or if it goes really wacky, and we'll do a little bit of analysis on that. So, I mean, we'll do what we can with the data we have. Other individuals have been posting some comments and doing some interesting things on the Keshe stuff over the last month. So I've been keeping a little bit appraised. There's still a lot of questionings about force fields. And in some cases that we were to kind of figure out, because some people were using, oh geez, I forget what the little induction pens that where electricians they figure out if there's current in different wires, whether they're alive or not. These are very very simple pens using capacitors, and you measure fields. And certain individuals, when they've been measuring a equipment plugged through the Keshe apparatus they've made. They've been measuring electric fields using these systems on equipment typically doesn't have, which raised a lot of questions and mystery and things like that. And when we figured it out, and I had to ask an electrician friend of mine, is that if you don't have a ground, for example, on any piece of electronic or electricity in a house, so if it's the wiring is non-standard to today's standards, like modern day, then these little capacitor pens will read a false feed to give you a false positive, because the electricity doesn't have anywhere to go with no ground, and so it kind of the potential kind of stays in the equipment, even though it's a mouse or keyboard so some people were getting a little bit excited that their equipment plugged to the MAGRAV reactor was registering like really strong fields, but that piece of equipment does not measure that exactly. Using the apparatus, you don't have a proper ground, so it just normally does it. And electricians kind of know this. They know if they can measure sometimes like wires not wires but mesh in walls, for example. And my friend gave me an example. I mean, he had this a wire mesh in a wall. It wasn't live or anything, but it was measuring a potential because somewhere it was connected to the housing wires at a certain point, even though it wasn't live, like there was no electricity moving through it. It was still measuring a difference of potential in voltage. So it was measuring with that little pens, though there was no electricity going through. So you have to be careful with what piece of equipment you use to measure things. And there's probably other pieces of equipment that you can use to measure actual electrical fields, not difference of potentials or different things like that. So just I would recommend you check with an electrician friend of yours or somebody that knows electrical engineering, something like that, when you want to do a test on the MAGRAV using some kind of equipment. Things like amp meters, voltmeters, ohm meters, things that are connected to that measure directly on the wires, those tend to be pretty accurate from my experience. They won't give you false positive. But little gadgets like this that just show a little light, they can potentially give you a sense that something's going on when there really isn't, because the wiring with the MAGRAV reactor is non-standard, going through from the wall to your outlets that you have plugged in there. Anyway, so last thing I wanted to mention on the Keshe stuff in general, I've had a very nice discussion. I think I mentioned last month I was worried about the pills, like the Gans pills that Keshe Foundation was selling. And somebody, and I forget his name, is a really nice man. He always gives me information and asks questions, and a very reasonable guy. He says, well, yeah, you're right. Like, I wouldn't participate in kind of buying pills of Gans without knowing what's in there specifically. But Keshe is not selling them. what he's doing, and here's the link. And you can go and check on the Keshe Foundation store. They have all this stuff set up now, where if you want to buy one of those pills, you actually have to agree to buy. You put it in your cart for €0. And when you like, if you want to receive them, you have to give a donation of, I think, €135. And you have to sign a waiver that if something weird happens to you, the Keshe Foundation is not responsible because it's just experimental and you're participating in an experiment. Something to that nature. Now, my response to the very nice man, I know his face is in the little picture in the comments, but I forget his name. Very nice guy, was like this. When people do experiments and want feedback from experimentation, like especially like experimental drugs and things like that, when they do that, they do obviously they do send a waiver. But it's to their benefit. They are the ones that are benefiting from the results of this experiment. They're getting the feedback. They're getting all this stuff for their purpose, for their benefit. What they have to do to be legal, according to the FDA and all these other agencies, and even then, I mean, it can be touchy, is they typically offer this. They have people volunteering and signing the waivers so that they can be responsible. Otherwise, they can be sued fairly easily, especially in the Western world. And they give the capsules and the medicine for free. And in some cases, in many cases, to protect themselves, they pay the experimenters, the people that are taking the pills for experimentation. I mean, you've heard of these programs, especially at universities and colleges, where you want to make extra money. We're going to pay you to be part of this program, this experimental program, and you take these pills, these capsules, or you submit to whatever experiments. You have to assign these waivers, and we'll give you some money in exchange for your time. Now, Keshe is doing quite the opposite. He's saying, okay, like, give us our time, your time, give us your feedback, give us the right to do. Sign this waiver so that we're free from liability if something happens to you, and donate, give us money so that you can participate. In legal terms, the definition of a sale is a company or an individual that provides a product or service and receives financial benefit from it. So the Keshe Foundation receives a donation and provides pill. That is a sale. So they are selling pills, and they're asking people that are buying the pills to sign waivers to make sure that the Keshe Foundation is not liable for anything that happens. And they're also asking for feedback on whatever results, whatever happens to you, and all that stuff. This is without passing through the right authorities for consumables. This is the same as selling. Absolutely. Any court of law in the Western world would agree. This has been tried before to circumvent the laws of commerce for potentially dangerous stuff that we don't know what is in there. It's no way to circumvent it. You get caught right away if you try to do that. This is a sale. It doesn't matter if you flag it as a donation, as charity, or whatever it is. If you are collecting money from the transaction in any way, shape, or form, no matter what the terminology you're using, you're selling whatever you're providing. If the Keshe Foundation wants to be okay and gather data, what they would need to do is do the same waiver system and give the pills for free. Or pay the people. So here's €135. Take these pills. Tell us what happens to you. We'll capture the data. That is proper experimentation and proper process from the legal point of view. So I would again urge you to keep your money and not participate unless you want to participate and they provide them to you for free or with cash. Otherwise, you're participating in fraud. I mean, you can't be accused of anything since you're the victim, but you're participating in their fraudulent activity. That's what I'm saying. Right? Do not encourage such activities. I mean, it's similar to my beef with the Keshe reactors themselves being, okay, well, you're going to buy one, which is 300 euros, but you're donating to have two money, so 1,000 euros, so that two others are provided to other people that will give away for free. And tell us some feedback. Tell us if it works. So we're giving you. They're using us as experimenters, and we're paying for the whole process. Not only for our own device, which would be already something because we're getting something, so we're paying for a device, but we're paying for other devices that we don't even know will be shipped to anyone else. We have no idea if they will. It's not as bad with the magravs because it's not, you can't, I don't think you can get sick by, and nobody's going to consume the magrav reactors. But it's a little bit the same principles. Like we're paying, and they're receiving all the benefits, all the results. And when we argue that, well, the results are published to everybody, the blueprints, all this stuff, that is true. So that makes it kind of pseudo okay, which is why I've been cautioning, but I've been kind of looking at it and interested in taking closer looks. But that the pill idea is terrible, bad for health. It's a fraudulent criminal action. Do not do that. If they pay you or give it for free, no problem. If you want to participate in the program, put some random pills in your mouth for a while and provide feedback, great. But don't pay for it. Don't pay for it. That is a typical scam. I mean, it could be putting chalk in those things, and you pay $135 for what, 10 pills of chalk. From my point of view, if they do that, what they call CO2 Gans, it's actually mostly magnesium hydroxide, which typically won't kill you in small quantities, but it's a mineral. It's a mineral salt. It's a base even, so it can be contracted with acid, like in your stomach and things like that. And you're paying you're paying $13 a capsule, and then they don't even know, you don't even know what's going to happen after you take them, because they're asking you, it's like, well, you tell us what happens to you and how you feel. I mean, people can answer just anything. If they believe that it's going to make them feel better, they're going to say, well, it made me feel better because of the placebo effect. I've talked about that. Non-believers would never pay any money to be part of the experiment, and non-believers may feel sick and they'd report that. So most likely the results of those pills, the lion's share of the results of those pills, if people ever take these pills because they're paying for it, are people that believe it's going to help them. So there's no double blind. Provide some people with glucose pills and provide others with the CO2 Gans pills, and then get the feedback and comparatives. That would make sense, because then you could compare the feedback from the people who have received the glucose pills with the group that has received the CO2 Gans, and then you can do a standard deviation to see if there's actual difference in benefit between the two groups. Right now, they're just saying, well, you believers that are willing to pay $135 for to be part of the experiments, tell us how you feel when you take this. Well, we know from the placebo effect that most people will feel physiological change to the positive, even if medically, if you take their blood samples, they may get worse. We know this if it's been done before ad nauseum. So we can't, they can collect some data, but the data is completely invalid. He's probably going to proclaim next month or in a few months, hey, 80% of the people that took the pills said that they felt better, they got this cured, they got this cured. Completely invalid. If you don't compare it with pills that we know don't do anything and remove the placebo effect to it, it's invalid. If the people that get the pills are only fervent followers of Keshe Nation and believers in the technology, and they believe that's going to heal him of something, they will feel better. They will feel better, even though physiologically there is no benefit. And even we know from the placebo effect, you give them glucose and you tell people that that it's going to heal them from something, sometimes it does heal them of something because they believe so strongly mind over matter, it heals them. So that does not do credit to the glucose. Glucose is sugar. It's what our body eats all the time. It's always in our blood. So anyway, I digress. But don't take the pills. Bad, bad, bad stuff going on there. It is terrible. They would get excellent, better results, actually, not necessarily excellent, because you'd still have to do the glucose placebo cut. But if they would pay people 100 euros to take those pills on a schedule, then you'd get random people that just want to make money. Say, I'm going to try this for a while, and not necessarily all believers. Then they'd get less skewed results at least. But hey, get people that buy into it. That means they've already bought into it. Too late. You don't get valid results. Anyway, so that's my report on the Keshe technologies for this month. Hopefully I'll get more like electric bill results next month from the QEG guys. That's where it's most interesting as far as energy savings, because that's what we want to do. We want to know if there's something to this, and we want to make sure. We want to make sure that we're right about it. So let's keep our eyes open. Keep a look on other technologies that are really cool out there, and cool ideas. And waiting for your comments. That'll be great. All right. Have a good week, and I'll catch you next week with another topic. Ciao, ciao.